Well, dollar and base. Dollar and base on the bottom. Okay, dollar and base on the bottom. Tanan. We learned in Mishnah. Maybe get Medina Sayyam. Person needs to get from overseas. So what's the halacha? The shliach is supposed to say Foni nechtam. Ve'enu yochol loma b'foni nechtam. And he's not able to say Foni nechtam. Im yeshol aveidim yiskem b'chosomov. If you're able to locate witnesses, you substantiate the signatures with witnesses who recognize the signatures. Vavinim bo. So the question is posed, my ve'enu yochol lomar. What does it mean? The shliach is not able to say. What is the meaning of that? Ile mecheresh, always saying the one who delivered the get is a cheresh, he's a deaf mute. Cheresh barasui gitu is a cheresh qualified to deliver the get. V'atanam, we learned in the Mishnah, hakol ksherim l'havias a get. Everyone is qualified to bring the get. Chutz b'chereshot v'koton. So if any yochel means he's not able because he's a deaf mute, see that means it's not, the problem is not that he didn't say fonei nechtam. He can't represent the husband to deliver the get because he's not qualified to be a shliach. Omer of Yosef, Hochma Eskinon.
Not because he can't say it, because he falls in that category.
Because he falls in the category. He's not qualified. It's like a goy. If a non-Jew would deliver a get, it's meaningless. A goy cannot be a shliach. A cheresh, a deaf mute, cannot be a shliach. Omer of Yosef, Hochma Eskin. So what is the meaning? Any yochol? Go to noslok shupikeach. When he actually put the get in their hand, he was fully functional. Although he speak loma, and when he was about to say, before to test to the validity of the document, lo he speak loma before nechfoni nechtav achin ischarish. And then, at that moment, he had the stroke, right? And therefore he became non-functional. So what do you do now? It was delivered by a person who was qualified as a shliach. So the husband gave her the get, equivalent of that. But it was never certified to be a valid get. It was delivered by the husband. The husband delivered the get because he was a shliach shum kamoso, but he wasn't able to. The next moment, he wasn't able to say what he was meant to say. So the Rava necho. So according to Rava, that the only that this is very important. According to Rava, what is before nechfoni nechtam? It's a leniency. Factually, you should have two witnesses, right? This, as Kim Shtoros substantiating documents always is two witnesses. But because get is a question of aguna, mishum aguna kilu barabonan. Because the aguna issue, we're being more lenient, we rely on the testimony of a single witness. Not only a single witness, even if the witness is not a kosher witness. It could be a woman, doesn't have to be a man. It could be even a woman, right? Her testimony is accepted to establish the get as a valid get. So what is, according to Rav, normally for certification you need two witnesses. Over here, we rely on one. So okay, good. So over here, so if is a leniency within the context of kiyum, so if you get the bona fide kiyum, which are two witnesses, definitely it's going to be good, right? If one is sufficient to certify it, if you have two valid witnesses, when you have the two men, we're not doing the two women to come in, they say we recognize the signatures. We're talking about bona fide testimony, witnesses, Edim Ksherim, they say, we recognize the signatures. So definitely it's going to be good. So the Mishnah, the Rava Necho, so the Mishnah reads well according to Rava, correct? Because kiyum of a shliach is a tremendous leniency. The Rabba Kasha, because the Rabba, it's a problem. Because when you say Foni Nechtam, it's more than certifying a document that it's not a forgery. It's a question of Lishma. So if that's the case, what is Iskay B'Chosam? How does that compensate for what? For Lishma. It has no relevance to Lishma. So if that's the case, the Mishnah seems definitely supports Rava's understanding of B'Foni Nechtam, and according to Rav, it's a problem.
I understood that the one witness who said, the one witness works with Rava. Is that what?
No, one witness who says B'Foni Nechtam. According to Rava, why is he saying that?
For the Adam to verify
that it's not a forgery. That it's not a forgery.
Correct.
Normally, how many witnesses if you have a monetary document? In two. Right. So over here we said it's a leniency. This man, because he had the stroke, became deaf. He's not able to.
Correct.
So, is there even a consideration two are not sufficient? If one is sufficient, definitely two kosher witnesses are definitely more than sufficient, right? So the Mishnah reads beautifully according to Rava.
And how does the Mishnah read? That
It says, if a man delivers a get and he's not able to say Fonei Nechtam, you locate two witnesses and you substantiate it. So it's fine. According to Rav, it's fine. According to Rabbah, if the issue is Lishma, what does that help you? Why is the aid saying, why is the Shlich saying Fonei Nechtam? Not to substantiate the document. Right? We said before, even we said Rabbah concurs with Rav. Yeah. But that's only one element. But there's another element. The other element is Lishma. So if he's not able to substantiate it, if he would have said Fonei Nechtam, not only was he substantiated it's not a forgery, he's all saying that it was written Lishma. But now that he's not able to say it, and we locate two witnesses, they're only addressing one of the issues that have to be addressed. What about the other issue?
So
the Lishma issue is not being addressed.
So
how do we validate the get?
Why is Lishma not addressed with two witnesses?
They're just saying they recognize the signature. They don't know whether it was written Lishma. They're not discussing that.
Why couldn't two witnesses discuss that?
Because you would have to be there when it was written. No, but we're talking that's the ignorance of the sofer. The sofers, if it's a question of the proficiency of the sofer, the Adam they sign what they do what the sofer tells them to do. They follow instruction. So if the sofer himself has this degree of ignorance, it's a problem. So therefore, the shlich usually he testifies to this. So it's good. So even if Rabbo concurs with Rabbo, that it's what because of Eid Mitzvah L'Kaimo, you need witnesses to substantiate it. But Rabbo still holds his position that it's Lishma. So how does locating witnesses who recognize signatures? How does that satisfy the need? It doesn't. So that's the first question. The Rav and Necho, the Rabba Kasha. The mission is difficult on Rabba. It refutes Rabba. So the Gemara answers, Hochma Eskin Lach Shalomdu. That even Rabba, the Gemara says in the second parak, even though there was a time in Chutz La'aretz, the Sofrim, the vast majority were proficient. But there was a small minority who were not. But eventually, even the small minority didn't exist. There was no difference in Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz and B'diyasem regarding the Shema. They were all proficient, fully proficient. So what has to be addressed? In factually, only what? It's not a forgery. So by locating two witnesses who recognize the signatures, it's sufficient. Okay? We're speaking la'acha shalomdu. Somewhere asks a question. Yochi? Yochel nami? So what does the Mishnah have to say? The only time we locate the two signatures, the two witnesses to testify, only if he's not able, but we would want him to actually testify to the fact that he saw both aspects of the get, even if he's able to. Yiskayim b'chosamim should be sufficient, right? Because it's lach shalomdu. What's the issue today? Is it a forgery, not a forgery? And if the shliach is a leniency, so what is we know why we're locating two witnesses because we can't rely on him. Even we could rely on him. If you have two witnesses who recognize that to be sufficient, seems it's only because of this circumstance. That's why we're locating two witnesses. But if not for that, we wouldn't need it. That's all they tell. We recognize. That the husband gave the get. Of course, the witnesses are not going to sign for the woman, because that's illegal, right? I'm a lender, and I go to a witness and say, I want you to write up a document that Reuven borrowed money from me. If those witnesses sign that document, it's an illegal document. They're not permitted to sign on that document. So, that the husband, they were authorized by the husband authorized the writing of a get, and they're attesting to that fact, and they give that get meaning. Because the husband authorized them and instructed them to sign his get. That's why that get is considered an instrument that could terminate a marriage. Otherwise it can't.
When is that signed? After the sofa writes it?
Well, the sofa has to be authorized by the husband,
Right.
and the witnesses have to be authorized by the husband, that they have a right to sign on his get. That's initially. And then the get is given either by the husband or by a shliach, one or the other. So Mar'asi, Hochi Yochel Nami. According to Rabbah, what do we have to say that the only reason why you rely on witnesses? Because of what? Because he's not able, he's not capable, even if he can. If he can, it's lach shalomdu, right? if today all Sofrim are proficient in Lishma, you should always be able to. If you have two witnesses, let the two witnesses. What do you have to have the Shliach attest to the fact before Nefane Nechtam? On that, the says, Gzeira Shem Yazdov L'Kukulu. Because there's a concern, there's Gzeira, what happens if it reverts back? Will the Sofrim again become, they're lacking proficiency? You know, it's interesting, you see certain locations, you know, should say, if that's the case, even in Eretz Yisrael, do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? Maybe the Sofrim will become ignorant in this area. So you should always, the whole concept is, we're not worried what tomorrow may bring. If you have halacha in place to legislate any halacha, there has to be a basis for it. But once the halacha is legislated, it's on the books, and now the question is, do you rescind it? We don't rescind it unless it has no relevance ever again. But if there's a possibility it may revert back to the original situation, we leave that halacha on the books. So Eretz Yisrael, where there was never concern, Eretz Yisrael, no one ever had to say Fonech Nechtam. For any reason. It's Edim Tzuyim L'Kaimo, you're always able to locate witnesses, and in addition, all Sofrim were always fully proficient. So there was never a reason to say Fonech, but a Chutzler, they already enacted that you should say Fonech Nechtam. Now, they're proficient. So maybe we should rescind it. It has no relevance any longer. The answer is, because there's a concern in the future, since there is that possibility, it may revert back to that lack of proficiency. So you know something, you say, you know, we leave it on the books.
Yeah, but Adam is always an issue, though. You know,
But Adam is never a problem.
it can be a problem if people don't travel, like, you know.
Yeah, that's what it gets brought from overseas.
Right.
But again, even if you don't say it, factually, if you can locate witnesses, even though it's difficult, is the get valid? Of course it's valid. Yeah, but if you can't, but what about Lishma? The Edom are not going to help you on Lishma.
No.
So if that's the case, it's a problem. So the Gemara says, but it's Lach Shalom, it's not a problem.
Right.
The answer is because it's Shem Yazav Kukulo. Because there's a possibility they may revert back to the lack of proficiency. So I'm asking, so we're better to show. Do you know what tomorrow's going to bring? You know, after the Churban Abayis in Eretz Yisrael, what went on there? Right? We don't think about that. We're not going to legislate something which there's no basis to legislate it today. But maybe in 100 years, let's put it on. They don't. They're not going to enact that law. Chutzlor, where it's enacted and it's already in place. Once it's in place, we're not going to remove it. We're not going to rescind it. And therefore, there is now Shem Yachzul Kukulo, because since it's possible, they may revert in the future back. We leave it. Therefore, every shliach has to abide by the law. That's the Fonei Nechtam. That's the rationale.
If you have agents that can testify that those signatures are correct, it'll be a valid get. The problem is that you don't, you're so young, you can't get the agent.
No, but it says, it came from the Yisrael, says if you could validate it with witnesses, it's valid. Right. So you ask me, what's the Chiddush? Yeah. What's the Chiddush? According to Rabbah, it's a big Chiddush. According to Rabbah, it's a great Chiddush. Yeah. What's the Chiddush? What's the Chiddush? Normally, let's say he could say it, he doesn't say it. What's that? And it's Lach Shalom, though. Still not valid. So that's the Chiddush, because any Yochel, because Mislo Shchichel goes over Rabbanim, that's the Chiddush. Even though the law is you should, but if it's a circumstance which is unusual circumstance, even though the law is on the books, it doesn't apply. That's valid. That's a tremendous Chiddush, right? According to Rabbah. That's what the Gemara is going to say. Yochel and Yochel Nami. If we're saying Shem Yazdov L'Kukulos, even if he's not capable, but factually wasn't said, so how do you rely on two witnesses? Right? On that the Gemara says, Pikeach Nischaresh, a person who's fully functional and becomes a deaf mute, Muslo Shchicho, it's something which is remote, unusual. Muslo Shchicho goes to Rabbanon. Right? The Gzeira, the rabbinic law, doesn't apply in that unusual situation. 1 second. So what about, let's talk about Rava. So what's the Chiddush in the Mishnah? That's the proof of the Mishnah. That's the proof. The proof is that it's only, the concern is the forgery issue, not Lishma, because it says Yiskayim B'chosamov. According to you, Rabbah, if the issue is Lishma, how does Yiskayim B'chosamov, how is that sufficient? said just to the contrary. That proves that the only concern is only forgery, not anything else. See, Rabbah has this answer, it's lach shalamdu. Rabbah says, no, it's not lach shalamdu. It's kodem shalamdu. It was always. But if it's always according to you, why is it sufficient? The answer is that was never a concern. Because Rabbah holds that the Sofer, Meretzel, Chutz La'aretz, they're all proficient. That was never an issue. What's the issue? Locating the witnesses. Okay, so if the witnesses are there, they'll substantiate it. But that proves, that is the only reason. Because if it would be that other reason, the get would not be valid. Okay? So each one explains it based on his own. Rabbah brings it as a proof. Rabbah says it's speaking because it's unusual. It's shalom, which is a little bit of a dochik. It's after they became proficient, even the Chutz La'aretz, and therefore it's sufficient. But what about the Gzeira? The answer is Milslo Shchicha Lo Gosu B'Rabbanan. For a person who's functional to lose his functionality, that's unusual. Therefore, we don't insist, we don't enforce that Gzeira. Right? It's clear. Okay?
Right after he gave the get.
Right, that's Milslo. Well, the woman herself who is the divorcee. This case, which is constructed where the husband set certain conditions. Ditnan, the isha atzim via gita umavat shetzricha lo mfanech faninechtam. Husband says to woman, she's the divorcee. I want you to take the get and go to a certain bezdin. Let's say he's sending it from Washington to New York. Go to this bezdin, and when you arrive at the bezdin, the get will become a get. That means I'm not divorcing until you arrive with that get in New York. So until she arrives to New York, what is she?
Married.
She's married. She's like a shlich lo locha. She's a shlich lo locha. And the moment you get to the bezdin, then the get takes effect. Then I'm releasing it. Okay? She's divorced. It says she has to attest to the fact it was written lishma and it was signed lishma. The question is, it's an unusual case. This is very unusual. She's the shlich lo locha and she's the woman receiving it. And yet, if it says if she doesn't say it, it's not valid. Why is it not valid? Say yiskan b'chosamav. Right? Lo shchicha. The answer is lo tachlu b'shlichus. The case of shliach is the way to construct the case is in the usual case. But after everything's said and done, who is she? She's a shliach like any other shliach. It's only the way the shlichus is applied. But actually, her function is a shliach. Shliach is no different than any other shliach. Once you start making differentiations in shliach, it becomes a problem. So even though her particular situation is lo shchicha, but in the application of shliach, if we would allow say over here, you would not have to say. So how do you differentiate this shlichus and any other shlichus? See, the other case, the person himself is not able to say it because he lost his functionality. He became at the moment, after he gives it, he's not able to, he becomes a deaf mute. Okay, that's unusual. Every shliach, he's not able to function as a shliach. That's in functioning as a shliach. So that situation is muslo shchicha. Here she functions as a shliach, as a regular shliach. The application is unusual, but the actual function as a shliach, she's a regular shliach. Once I say she's a regular shliach, as no every other shliach, I don't make any differentiations within shlichus. Therefore, if shliach must say it, she must say it, like any other shliach must say it. So if she doesn't say it, it's not a valid get. Even though you substantiate with witnesses, that's not sufficient, according to Rabbah. What? Well, it's not the husband. The husband's not here. No, once she's no different than any other shliach. Any other shliach, if a person is a shliach but he doesn't say funny nechtam, is it a valid yet? It's not. So why should it be valid with the woman?
Because how else if he agrees that he appointed her, why can't we say certainly?
But maybe it's a forgery. Maybe it's a forgery. What about so every shliach? Again, let's start over again. Every shliach when he delivers a get, first of all, we have to establish he's a shliach.
Correct.
So if he's a shliach, means the husband appointed him. Are we concerned about A and B? We're concerned.
Correct.
So her being a shliach, why are we concerned about the same A and B? It's the same concern. The first fact, first we have to speak. Are you an agent? Yes. So if that's the case, that should be sufficient. We shouldn't have to know more than that, but we do have to know more than
Why
that.
would we think that she would not have to declare? Why would we think she wouldn't have to?
No, I'd say maybe it's lach shalom do, according to Rabbah.
Right.
So get witnesses, let witnesses substantiate it. It's slow shliach.
You said about any shliach.
No. By ordinary shliach, we say Shem Yachdav El Kulo. It could revert back to where it was once, that it's lacking proficiency. So that's the gzeira, of course. That's the what? That's the boilerplate case of shlichus. This is not the regular case of shliach. That the woman herself is representing the husband, and ultimately she receives the get from herself, because she's like two people. There's a transitional period, right? That's on that. So it's difficult. It's a milslo shchicha. So why aren't Adam sufficient? Like the person who now becomes the deaf mute. That was the Gemara's question. On that, the Gemara says no, because within the context of shliach, she's a shliach. It's the application of shliach. The other case is a shliach not being able to say the last moment because of that circumstance. That's unusual. So since factually today, what has to be addressed? Only the forgery issue, not lishma. Therefore, we deal with Adam who testify to its validity. That's sufficient. You don't need more than that. But I'm asking, why is the wife any better?
Not any different, but
So why don't you ask a question of a regular shliach?
because we want to avoid a mischief. We want to avoid any possibility that the husband's going to come and challenge the validity.
So he'll say the same thing with the woman. He'll make trouble. She delivers. He knows something. I forged signatures, put them on the document, gave it to her.
We throw him out.
Why with the
Because
shliach?
The fact that he appointed her as the shliach would be.
She's no different than John Doe, who's the shliach.
She is different.
Why is she different? The Gemara is going to only differentiate when he gives the get himself.
No, I know. That's all.
But any time it goes to a third party,
I know.
he could come make trouble.
I would say that-
We're saying he's making trouble.
I know. I would say that the wife would be a case unto herself.
Well, the Gemara says
I know
it's
the
not.
Gemara doesn't say
So
that.
evidently, he is one thing. Anybody other than himself, he's coming to make. He could make trouble.
I would
So
say
to
that the wife-
dismiss that issue,
we would throw it out. It's just such a remote.
No, when he gives it to the wife, those signatures, she didn't see this.
no, she didn't. If she didn't see it,
Just like any other.
that's what I'm saying. She's no different than any other shliach.
The fact that he appoints her as shliach as opposed to anyone else.
Okay, look, we repeated 6 times over. It's the same where we began. Okay. So now we're asked the next question. Yochi bal nami. So what about the husband? When the husband gives the get himself, right? Let's be concerned in terms of what forgery, okay? Alamatanya, who atzmo shevi gito. A man comes from overseas, his wife's in Eretz Yisrael delivers the get. Seemingly he should have to say funny nechtam because the get, for 2 reasons. You're not going to be able to locate the signatures. And Lishma, both, right? It says explicitly in the Brisa, the husband does not have to test any aspect of the get. Time amai. What's the reason? Why does the shliach have to attest the writing and the signing? The husband would come, he'll contest the get, and he'll invalidate it. Even though on the Torah level we said earlier it's not invalidated. Because he's just coming to make trouble. But still, we don't want any murmurings. It's the likelihood of him making issue is remote beyond remote. Therefore, even if he doesn't say anything, he delivered it himself, because the concern is only trouble.
He delivered it.
He's going to make trouble. He's delivering it himself, where actually the termination of relationship is through him, and he's delivering it. The likelihood is beyond remote.
Even there are
Yeah.
Of course.
Exactly. So why
No,
would
that's
he-
separate. The Edom delivery is something else.
Otherwise-
And they're Edi Chasima. The Edi Chasima here.
No, I understand.
It's befonei nechtam.
No, that's why
He's not saying nechtav, not saying
He
nechtam.
delivers. The
Yeah.
reason he's not going to do anything is because there are two witnesses that he delivered it. So
Right,
when he's
but
delivering it,
based
he's
on-
not going to lie on it.
No. Let's make it easy. If you hold like Rameir, Erich Simakarsi. So with two things, there's the delivery of the get, and there's the actual instrument that terminates the marriage. What gives validity to the instrument that will terminate the marriage? The signatures. Maybe he forged them. He himself signed the signatures. He's giving her a get. So it says Reuven, it says Shimon. Reuven and Shimon never signed them together. So if that's the case, they would never aid him. So this piece of paper with the information is not infused with the power to terminate the marriage. Maybe that's a reality. So therefore he himself should attest to the fact, b'fonei nechtam, right?
But him giving it
Before the
him
Bezdin.
attesting.
He's making that statement before Bezdin. This get was written in my present.
So it's in front of Bezdin, so there are witnesses that he's giving it.
We're not questioning the giving. We're questioning the validity of the document.
Right, but-
The document may not be a viable document.
Understood, but how could, the husband would never challenge that because...
That's the Gemara's answer. That's the Gemara's answer.
Because he gave it in front of Bezdin, he gave it. So then...
So therefore, he could challenge it. Maybe it wasn't written Lishma. He says, I wasn't aware. I went to the Chaim Yankel in Timbuktu, and he had his manual from the RCA or from the whoever it is. That's how he wrote the get. And the footnote, it was the first printing, they put the footnote in. Then he's supposed to think Lishma. What do you do? Howard, what's your edition? 1903 edition. Okay, that's the same edition. Okay? But, it's interesting. The Gemara on Daf Gimel asked the question, just thought about this. The one Daf Gimel asked the question, the Gemara says, Mishum aguna kila barabonan. Because she'll be a bound woman, therefore, the Gemara says, it's dovisha be'erva. So that we should have two witnesses, right? Gemara says, Mishum aguna, kulu chumru. Because he's a single witness, the shliach, and the husband is a single person. So it's one against one, the husband could challenge it. So we should have to have two witnesses, two shluchim delivering the get. So the Gemara says no, that because the shliach understands he can be challenged, he's going to be meticulously careful to make sure it was done 100% right. Therefore, we could say with certainty that his testimony is correct and the husband's just coming to make trouble. Right? That's what Gemara answers. He's medakdek. By a third party, he's medakdek. Why? Because he doesn't want to be challenged. So when the sofer writes that get, he's going to make sure that every aspect of the get is being addressed. But when the husband comes, well, who said he's medakdek? He can't be challenged. So if he can't be challenged, what's the problem? So now it is a problem. Over there, why is he medakdek? Because he doesn't want to look bad. Because he understands what may be coming down the pike. The shliach. But if the husband's delivering, the husband says, I had no reason to look into it. Innocently, I was victimized. I went to the wrong person. Unfortunately. So why does he come with that claim? Right? You don't have that on the tzadi. A shliach we have the on the tzadi because he doesn't want to look bad. If the husband should contradict him, but the husband himself, he can say innocently, I didn't know. I went to the wrong sofer. Right?
So we're saying, but the shma is not an issue. Though.
According to Rob, it's an issue. It is an issue.
The only answer would be
What?
The only answer to that would be after
No, but it should be the Gzeira. But we're saying, what about the Gzeira? Right? That we're still concerned about that. The answer is very simple. The issue always is the husband's coming to make trouble. So even if he's coming to make trouble, but it's still one against one, one is against one. So why does the shliach have greater validity than the husband? Right? Why do we give greater credibility to the shliach statement than to the husband's one against one? On that, the Gemara says, of course, we have an anasadi. Because the shliach doesn't want to look bad. But factually, what is the issue? The husband's coming to make trouble. So now the Gemara says, so for the husband, we don't need the anasadi. If the husband's delivering the get himself, we're not worried about that. Because he's delivering the get. He's not going to make trouble. That's the answer. If he's coming to make trouble, so let's be concerned. He's going to make trouble. It's his word against the shliach. So the Gemara answers, we have an anasadi because the shliach doesn't want to look bad. Therefore, he's extra careful that he addresses all the aspects of the get. But if the husband's delivering himself, there's never a concern. Because if he's delivering, he's not coming to make trouble. Therefore, that's the reason why, even if he doesn't say it, it gets 100% kosher.
I don't understand.
Because we say that he'll never make trouble if he delivers.
If he delivers himself, we're not concerned he's going to make trouble.
And if he does come, and
So then we'll worry. Then we'll worry. But the likelihood is so, it's beyond remote, we're not worried about
what do
this.
you do if he does? What's
So then we'll worry about it. Then we'll worry about it. You know what I'll say? That's a milsa lo shchicha. That's a milsa lo shchicha, lo goes b'rabbanan. But let's say that, but here, this Mishnah is speaking even before Lamdu. Kodim Shalamdu. So let's say he comes back, okay, so you know something, then we'll have to investigate it, and to prove that the sofer, that sofer wrote this get, was a qualified sofer. He was fully proficient.
Rabbi, I don't understand
Why
why.
we married already, then they would leave.
Like we see, no, it's not so simple. No, we won't. Yeah, it will leave him, but we're not going to force him yet. We're not going to force him to divorce her, to separate.
I don't understand why the husband would make trouble. If he goes into, all the effort of having a get written and with witnesses and stuff, so why is he going to make trouble?
You know what a matrimonial lawyer is about? Okay, if you knew why these people make big fees, it's cheaper just make it a settlement. The cost of the divorce is endless more. Why? The answer is because he loves her. That's the reason. That's the answer. Okay, he wants to really stick it to her, to make Taurus. Give it.
But he wrote
Doesn't make a difference.
Every divorce has a story.
The Rebbe's answer seems to suggest that you'd be in a worse position if the husband gave the get than a regular.
No, to the contrary. To the contrary. That was my question. The answer is it's not the case.
No, you'd have to say that the court wrote it.
But why?
Why? Because I would say in terms.
No, they won't throw him out. They won't throw him out. They'll throw him out only when he's going against the shliach. They'll ignore him. Because we have an Anatsari countering him.
So the woman's so what you're saying is the woman is vulnerable if the husband gives the get.
But we're not worried. We're not worried.
We're not worried.
No, in terms of that it's a forgery, that definitely we're going to throw him out. That we're going to throw him out. But what about Lishma? That Tosa says innocently. He says, I didn't know. As the sofer is not proficient, he should be more proficient than the sofer. If the concern is Lishma, why he could say innocently, I really didn't know. The answer is even that's so far-fetched. So if the husband himself comes, he's not coming to make tzoros.
I would just say that he's a stock. I mean, I have a different. It's not about probability. It's about he's a stock. If he delivered the get himself, he cannot.
Why? But why? Innocently, he could say, it was ignorantly, I went because I wasn't aware it had to be written Lishma. Why not? Why is he any worse than the sofer himself? If it's coming Medina Sayyam, we say the sofer may not be proficient. How could he be more proficient than the sofer? He's not saying he wrote the get. He authorized the get. The sofer he chose was not proficient. Why not? Because even that claim is only to make trouble. So we say if you deliver it yourself, the likelihood you're going to make trouble is beyond remote. Therefore, we're not worried. Okay, let's go further.
You said you want to do a Tosfos?
What?
You said you want to do a Tosfos?
As I explained to Gemara, I explained it with Tosis. Okay?
didn't realize you were wearing shorts.
What?
Say true that the sofa wasn't proficient.
Okay, if that could be proven, but that the husband has to prove. It's las. We're not worried. We're not.
They know that the sofa wrote it, and they find out that the sofa was a...
No, it's puzzled. It's puzzled. It gets puzzled, 100%.
Do they have to test?
No, because that we're never worried that he's a Meshubah. We're not worried about these things. So they showed up, so you have a problem.
Do they have to come and test?
Let's say Adam come and say it's a forgery.
Right.
Is it a get? It's not a get. Same thing. So she's not divorced. Okay, Toshma. The boy means Shmuel mi Rav Huna. Shmuel posed the question to Rav Huna. Shnaim shivu get medina sayam. He posed the question. Tzrichen shiomer von inechta mo ein tzrichen. Two witnesses, two shluchim. They both are going to be shluchim, and they're delivering it. Do they have to test to its writing and to its signing? Omar lei ein tzrichen. They don't have to say a word. But of course they're saying we are shluchim. The husband appoints to be the shluchim. They don't have to say more than that. Why? Let's say they'd come from overseas and they say, we witnessed the husband divorcing his wife. Do they have to speak about that the get was signed in their presence and written in their presence? We saw a get, we saw what was written in the document. It was signed, and everything seemed to be okay. We saw him deliver that, give it to his wife. That's sufficient, right? That testimony will allow the woman to remarry without a question. Nothing. They know nothing about Lishma. They only have to testify about the act of divorce. Milo Mehemni, wouldn't they be believed? Of course they'd be believed. So therefore, if the issue is it's a forgery, if they say we saw the husband giving the get to his wife, it can't be a forgery. Because the husband evidently, to say he forged the signatures, this is beyond remote. But if it's the question Lishma, the Gemara says, L'Rava Nechel L'Rabba Kasha. Rav Huna's response to Shmuel is good according to Rava, where the issue is what? Is it a forgery? But if the issue is it Lishma, it may be lacking Lishma. Maybe that Sofer did not write it Lishma. That discussion with Shmuel and Rav Huna was speaking Lach Shalomdu. It was after even the Chutz Loretz, all Sofer were fully proficient. There's not even a small minority who are not. So versus Yehochi, Chad Nami. So if that's the case, the same question. So what do we say? Only two witnesses don't have to say Fonei Nechtam. Even one witness should not have to say. Of course, there's no concern of what? Of Lishma any longer. The answer is because we're concerned to revert back to that original state. Now, let's just address just this here at this moment. Two witnesses bring a get Midyan Sayam. So two witnesses are Eidim. We're talking about two valid witnesses. So we say the reason is, so it seems to be that the issue is only forgery. Mor says Lach Shlamdu. So it's not a problem. It's not a problem. And you have to say two witnesses Milslo Shchicha. Right? You have to say Milslo Shchicha. Because normally when you send an agent, it's one agent, it's not two agents. Okay, so we're not concerned it's going to revert back to that original situation with not Lishma. Okay, Smart asked, so one should be enough? Why should one be enough? Here we're saying, Rav Huna said to Shmuel, if two witnesses would witness the act of divorce, wouldn't we believe them? What about if one witness would come and say, I saw the man give his wife a get? We wouldn't believe it. So what's even the consideration? One should be, we only gave validity to one when he says it as he's supposed to say it. If he functions as a shliach, when the context that we say you have to speak. The two, they're functioning, they're shluchim, of course they have to be agents, otherwise they can't deliver the get. But what's the basis for their belief? Because they're witnesses. To be continued.